Throughout history, countless treasures have disappeared. Golden crowns, ancient manuscripts, lost cities buried beneath the earth. But few missing treasures have inspired as much fascination as an entire room. Not a single painting, not a jewel, not a statue. An entire room, covered almost entirely in glowing amber, adorned with gold leaf, decorated with priceless mirrors. A masterpiece so extraordinary that many called it the eighth wonder of the world. Then, it vanished. To understand the mystery, we must travel back to the early 18th century. At the time, Europe's great kingdoms competed not only through war, but through art, architecture, and displays of wealth. In the Kingdom of Prussia, King Frederick I dreamed of creating a room unlike anything the world had ever seen. Instead of marble, he chose amber. Often called Baltic gold, amber had been prized for thousands of years. Its warm golden glow seemed almost alive when touched by sunlight. Master craftsmen from across Europe were invited to work on the project. Each panel was carefully carved by hand. Thousands of individual amber pieces were polished, fitted together, and surrounded by delicate gold decorations. The work demanded extraordinary skill. Years passed before the room approached completion. Every wall shimmered with deep shades of gold, orange, and honey-colored light. Large mirrors reflected the amber from every angle. Intricate mosaics covered the panels. Visitors described the room as almost magical. It seemed less like architecture and more like captured sunlight. Yet the amber room would not remain in Prussia for long. In 1716, King Frederick William I made an extraordinary diplomatic gesture. The magnificent chamber was presented as a gift to Tsar Peter the Great of Russia. The gift symbolized a growing alliance between two powerful kingdoms. Transporting the room itself became an enormous challenge. The delicate amber panels had to be carefully dismantled, packed inside protective crates, moved across hundreds of miles, and reassembled once again. Eventually, the amber room found its new home inside Catherine Palace near St. Petersburg. There, Russian architects expanded the chamber even further. Additional amber panels were added. New mosaics arrived from Italy. Gold decorations became even more elaborate. The room grew larger, more magnificent, and more valuable than its original creators had ever imagined. For nearly 2 centuries, visitors from across Europe came to admire its beauty. Diplomats, artists, royal families, travelers. Many struggled to describe what they had seen. As sunlight entered through the palace windows, the amber walls seemed to glow from within. Some compared the room to a living jewel. Others called it one of humanity's greatest artistic achievements. By the beginning of the 20th century, the Amber Room had become one of Russia's greatest cultural treasures. Its value could no longer be measured only in gold or precious stones. It represented history, craftsmanship, diplomacy, and centuries of European culture. But beyond the palace walls, Europe was changing. Political tensions were rising. New weapons transformed warfare. Entire nations prepared for conflict. Then, in 1939, the Second World War began. Within 2 years, German forces launched Operation Barbarossa, the massive invasion of the Soviet Union. Cities fell with astonishing speed. Museums rushed to protect priceless collections. Curators packed paintings into crates. Ancient sculptures were moved. Historic documents disappeared into secure storage. Inside Catherine Palace, museum staff faced an impossible decision. How could they protect a room that could not simply be carried away? The amber room was built into the walls themselves. Removing it safely would take weeks, time they no longer had. In desperation, workers attempted to hide the glowing amber panels. They covered sections with wallpaper and protective materials, hoping the invading army might overlook the masterpiece. It was a courageous effort, but it would not be enough. Soon, German troops reached the palace, and one of history's greatest treasure mysteries was about to begin. When German forces entered Catherine Palace, they immediately recognized what stood before them. The amber room was far too valuable to destroy. Instead, it became a prize of war. A team of German museum specialists and art experts was ordered to remove the priceless chamber. The task was carried out with remarkable speed. According to historical records, the room was carefully dismantled in less than 2 days. Each amber panel was numbered, wrapped in protective materials, placed inside wooden crates, loaded onto trains, and sent west. Its destination was Königsberg, the historic capital of East Prussia. There, inside Königsberg Castle, the amber room was reconstructed once again. Visitors and officials reportedly admired the masterpiece as it had appeared in Russia. For a brief moment, the world's most famous room had returned to German hands. But the war was changing rapidly. By 1944, Allied bombing campaigns intensified across Europe. Entire cities were reduced to rubble. Museums closed. Transportation routes became increasingly dangerous. Königsberg itself came under repeated air attacks. Fires spread across large sections of the city. Historic buildings suffered severe damage. The amber room suddenly faced another uncertain future. Museum officials feared the castle might soon be destroyed. Some documents suggest plans were made to move the room again. Others indicate it remained inside the castle until the very end. The historical record becomes increasingly unclear. That uncertainty lies at the heart of the mystery. In early 1945, the Soviet army advanced toward East Prussia. Königsberg was surrounded. Rail lines were cut. Roads became impassable. The city descended into chaos. Civilians fled. Military units retreated. Historic collections disappeared into warehouses, bunkers, and underground storage sites. Somewhere during these final months, the trail of the amber room vanished. When Soviet forces finally captured Königsberg, they searched the castle extensively. The amber room was gone. No complete panels, no crates, no official inventory. Nothing. Only scattered reports, conflicting testimonies, and unanswered questions. Did the room burn during the bombing? Was it secretly loaded onto a train before the city fell? Did German officials hide it inside an underground bunker? Or was it placed aboard a ship attempting to escape across the Baltic Sea? Every theory seemed possible, yet none could be proven. Adding to the mystery, many wartime records had been destroyed. Witnesses gave conflicting accounts. Some claimed they saw the crates being moved. Others insisted the room never left the castle. Each new testimony created another contradiction. By the end of the war, the amber room had become more than a missing work of art. It had become one of the greatest lost treasures in modern history. Governments launched investigations. Historians compared military records. Treasure hunters followed every rumor. Every few years, a new clue appeared. A forgotten tunnel, an abandoned mine, a sunken ship. Hope returned, then faded once again. The masterpiece that had dazzled Europe for more than 2 centuries had disappeared without leaving a confirmed trace, and the search was only beginning. When the Second World War ended, the search truly began. Investigators from the Soviet Union searched the ruins of Königsberg Castle. Every surviving room was examined. Collapsed corridors were cleared. Underground chambers were explored. But the Amber Room was nowhere to be found. Soon, new theories began to emerge. Some believed the room had been hidden inside secret military bunkers beneath East Prussia. Others suggested it had been transported into abandoned mines before the city fell. Several expeditions searched tunnels deep beneath forests and mountains. Hidden chambers were discovered. Forgotten wartime supplies were recovered, but never the Amber Room. Another theory pointed toward the Baltic Sea. During the final months of the war, German ships evacuated soldiers, civilians, and valuable cargo. Some historians believe the Amber Room may have been loaded onto one of these vessels. If so, it may still lie somewhere beneath the cold waters of the Baltic. Over the decades, divers explored dozens of shipwrecks. Each new discovery raised hopes. Each investigation ended the same way: no Amber Room. One of the most famous theories involved hidden railway tunnels. As Germany retreated, special trains transported valuable works of art away from advancing armies. Some researchers believe the Amber Room disappeared aboard one of these trains. Others argue the railway records simply do not support that conclusion. From time to time, news headlines announced exciting discoveries: a hidden bunker, a sealed cave, an underground vault. Treasure hunters rushed to investigate. Yet every promising lead eventually reached a dead end. The mystery seemed to grow larger with every failed search. Then, something unexpected happened. Small fragments believed to belong to the Amber Room began appearing. A decorative stone mosaic, pieces of carved wood, photographs from the war. These discoveries confirmed one important fact. At least part of the Amber Room had survived long enough to be transported from Russia. But where the rest went remains unknown. Today, many historians believe there are three realistic possibilities. The room was destroyed during the bombing of Königsberg. It was hidden and has never been rediscovered. Or it still exists, waiting inside an unknown location that no one has searched. No single theory has been proven. No definitive evidence has ended the debate. Perhaps that uncertainty is exactly why the Amber Room continues to capture imaginations around the world. It represents more than gold, more than amber, and more than extraordinary craftsmanship. It represents everything that war can erase. Masterpieces built over generations can disappear in only a few days. As the years passed, Russia chose an extraordinary path. Using thousands of photographs, historical drawings, and traditional craftsmanship, artists spent decades recreating the Amber Room inside Catherine Palace. The reconstruction was completed in 2003. Visitors once again walk through glowing amber walls. They experience something astonishingly close to the original masterpiece. Yet everyone knows one important truth. This is not the room that vanished during the war. The original Amber Room, if it still exists, remains missing. Somewhere. Perhaps beneath layers of earth. Perhaps inside a forgotten bunker. Perhaps beneath the waters of the Baltic Sea. Or, perhaps, it disappeared forever during the chaos of war. History may never reveal the answer, but the search continues, because every generation believes it might uncover the clue that everyone else overlooked. And perhaps that hope is the true legacy of the Amber Room, not simply as a lost treasure, but as a reminder that some of history's greatest masterpieces can vanish, while their stories endure forever.